going out there tonight?
Well, you stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimalresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight? Everyone out there catching us live. Those of you that will catch it later, we sure do appreciate your support, everything that you do, guys. We really do appreciate it. So glad that you could join us tonight for another episode of Mannimal Research. I am joined tonight by my good friend, Mr. Daryl Owen. How's it going tonight, buddy?
I'm good, sir. How are you tonight? Thank you for having me on again.
Doing very well, and it as always, it's my pleasure, buddy. It really is. Glad that you get to step in and help us out every once in a while when we need it. So we appreciate that. What's been going on with you, bud? You had a chance to get out and do anything?
I have not, sir. I'm remodeling my home, so I'm kind of stuck at home, working and home, and I got really badly sunburned. You can see I'm losing my hair.
No.
Oh man, I'm so thin up here. I got so badly sunburned. I've got blisters, so I've got to wear a hat tomorrow. But
getting sunburn's not hard to do down here. But man, you're from California. You should be used to that.
This old age is catching up to me quick, man. I'm telling you, it's something fierce too, though. I got a really bad headache and sitting on the couch a little while ago. I had a nice wet cloth on my head. I'm thinking, I hope my hair looks okay for the show.
Looks great, man. You look very pretty.
It's like, what hair? All I see is a big long line of forehead right here. So, people probably think this is a hat, but
man, no, you pull it off, man. You make it work.
So, but I do appreciate you, sir, having me on again. As always, I do appreciate Mannimal. I think you guys are an awesome group and a great group, and I love you to death, and you know that. And I love being on here with you guys. I love your people that you have on there. They're always good to me, and they never say anything cruel or mean. So I do appreciate you, though, for having me on.
Yeah, well, awesome, man. I'm glad to hear the nice words. Thank you very much. And yeah, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Let's cover all this stuff, get this out of the way if we would, and then
let me ask you a question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the camping trip? Very interested in the camping trip.
We are going to go over that. Let me go over that. Let me go over this stuff real quick, or beginning of the stuff. We'll talk about it. And then, are you ready to talk about your thing, or you still want to wait a little bit?
We're okay. We can do whatever you want to do.
Okay. All right, everybody. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. Show us some love. We are right there at 1,300, closer and closer. We're less than 10. Like 6 or 7 away from 1,300. So let's get there tonight, guys, if you don't mind. If you're watching it for the first time, hit that subscribe button. And if you've already subscribed, tell somebody else to subscribe. We appreciate it. Mannimal Research on Facebook. You can find us there. Everybody has a Facebook. We know it. Don't lie about it. You don't have to be ashamed. We all got one. So if you have Facebook, just come on over and join our group. Be happy to have you. Very, very excited about tonight's guest. We got Mr. Wayne Stapleton on, and he's going to look familiar to you probably when we bring him on. Him and his partner George were a part of the Hulu documentary Sasquatch. They are investigators from out in Washington State. They were on the like I said, that documentary Sasquatch, and did a really good job. So I've been talking to Wayne for about a month now, and aside from him having a really cool name, he's a good guy, and very excited about having him on. I said all that to say, feel free to ask him questions if you want. George was going to come on with them, but they had something come up. We were going to have both of them, but it's just going to be Wayne tonight. But if you got any questions for Wayne, feel free to ask, but put those in all caps if you don't mind, please. Just makes it easier for us to find, get to you, and Can't guarantee that we'll get to everyone, but we'll do our best, and it helps. Makes it easier if you just put them all in all caps. And also tonight, keep those encounters coming in. Mannimal@yahoo.com. Send those in for us if you do not mind. Sure would appreciate it. All right, Daryl, you want to go first, buddy, or you want me to talk about the camp out?
I'll go first that way because yours is in town, mine's out of town.
Yeah, you got something pretty exciting coming up. Tell us about that.
September 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th, I think, are the dates. I'm looking at it right here. Let me see what day it is. It's, yeah, that's when it is. I will be headed for Willow Creek. If everybody knows what Willow Creek is, that is the sign or the place where Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin filmed Patty. I will be doing a 4-day adventure out there with the California Adventure Organization. Or I'm sorry, it's called CAD, California Adventures District. Here's kind of a, I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. Close enough. But it's called California Adventures District. I got hired on to come out there and do a 4-day expedition, and we're going to go pretty deep into the mountain. There's been 15 people that I'm going to be taking out there. I'm the lone gunman out there, if you wanted to say that. But we're going to go very deep into the forest and revisit the Gimlin film, some Willow Creek stuff. So I'll be sharing a lot of stuff in September. It's very exciting for me. I've had to turn it down a couple of times, but this time I'm going to go. It's a free flight and food and a chance to go out and actually see the beginning of my Bigfoot adventure, other than visiting Klamath, but to see the actual sighting of the Gimlin Patterson film with Patty. Hopefully we'll see a Patty. If I do, of course, I'll be first one to tell you guys. I will be in contact with Wayne the days that I'm there, sending lots of pictures. And then when I get home, I'm hoping I'll be back on the show and I can share my stories with you guys. So it's very exciting for me, and I'm going to represent both of us, not only the NCBPRA, but I'm also going to represent Mannimal Research. So I am part of the Mannimal group. I like I said, I love this group, and I take it to heart when I do this. So, but I will keep everybody up to date when I start heading out.
Awesome, man. I'm happy for you. I really am. But I do have a bone to pick.
Okay.
Man, you're going to have to negotiate better. Why am I not going out there with you?
Oh, I'm not sure. I really, honestly, I don't know. I got a phone call from Nigel Skeet, which is he works for Humboldt County. And I've been in contact with him a few times, and he wrote and said, I got a deal for you. Let's sit down and talk. And I talked it out, and I signed a contract, so I'm ready to go. And
you got to work on this negotiating, man. I might have to teach you a few things. You got to do better than that, buddy.
I'm getting old in my old age up here, so we're trying to. I'm just so excited to go back.
No, I bet you are, man. That's on my bucket list. I want to go out there so bad. Washington State and Oregon are on my bucket list too, and in California there. Those 3 states I want to visit, and for the reason of doing this, going out there where it all began, really.
Right.
The Pacific Northwest. Right. And I'm envious of you. I really am.
I think the Patterson Gimlin film was the beginning. I didn't know anything about Bigfoot, like I've said that 100 times, until I actually got to see one up close.
The mystery was solved in 1967.
Right.
In my opinion, you should have stuck a fork in it right then.
Right.
It was over. I mean, you can't get any better than that. And to this day, 1967 to 2021, however many years that's been, 50, 60 years, there's nothing better. I mean, it's been debated, it's been looked over, and nobody can prove that it's anything other than an actual being walking across that creek bed. So the mystery should have been solved in 1967, in my opinion. But if it was, we wouldn't be here doing this. So
right, this is a whole new beginning, a whole new chapter for us. With the combination of our two groups, I think that we're going to go a long way. I really have faith in that. I feel like we have really good members with Mannimal. I brought a couple of members from the NCBPRA, and then you've got your listeners. And I think our door, and I say our door, I think your door is going to bust wide open here soon. The more people you get, the better off you are. But I really think that you're doing it right, and I that's why I'm here. If you've noticed, if you go to my Facebook page, I only follow one person or one group, and that's you. So I think you're doing it right, and I'm going to stand by it till the end. So.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Appreciate
that, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, man. That's very cool. Very cool, and absolutely keep us updated. And that kind of leads to our thing, and I'll try to make it a little bit quick here so that we can go ahead and get to Wayne. But we've been talking about it for a little while. The camp out that we're going to do here in East Tennessee. See, the Squatch and Cowboy is on. I don't see Ralph from the Old Bear Den of Bigfoot. It's the Old Bear, us, Mannimal Research, and the Squatch and Cowboy are putting this on here in Southeast Tennessee, and we're calling it the East Tennessee Squatch Out. And we've created the event page. It's on Facebook. A lot of you have seen it, I'm sure, but everyone's welcome to come to the campground, hang out with us. It's going to be a 2-day event. Everybody, there's no charge to get in. The only thing you're going to be responsible for is paying for your site. And I think at that campsite, it's like $12 a night, $12 or $13 a night. So $26 you'll be out for the weekend. It's taking place over Labor Day weekend, which is the 4th and the 5th of September. And we need to get a count of how many people are going to be there. So, hoping the campsite will hold everybody, but 10 people might show up, or it could turn out where 150 show up. We just don't know. But everyone's welcome. Come out. We're going to go squatching those 2 nights. Head out in the woods, break up into small teams, and go up in the up on top of the mountain there. It's a beautiful spot, really pretty, and the 3 YouTube channels that I mentioned earlier are going to be there, and we'll talk a little bit and share some of our experiences and encounters, and just really just want to meet everybody, everybody that watches us and gives us support. It's just a chance to come out and shake a few hands and just meet everybody in person. But we're looking forward to it. Again, that is the East Tennessee Squatch Out. Going to be in East Tennessee, actually right down there in the corner. It's very close to Georgia and North Carolina. It's right in the corner down there. That's a really cool place. We went there last year. It's where our really frightening encounter happened that we've talked about quite a bit, where Miss Janice Carter was with us. And I'm talking to Miss Janice about coming back out this year too. So that's not for certain, but we're trying to work that out too. And I think that she will. In fact, I know that if her work schedule will cooperate, she'll be out there. But we'll find out for sure, and we'll let you know. But yeah, we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I really am looking forward to it. And we got people traveling from all over, man. Ralph's coming in from West Virginia. Joe is coming in from Texas. And got another person that's emailed me information. They're coming from Virginia. Another buddy from Colorado talking about coming. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. All right, we've been going about 15 minutes now. I'm excited to talk about our guest. Mr. Wayne Stapleton is going to be with us tonight. He is representing him and his partner George, their new group. Their thing that they've got going is called No Myth. He's going to talk about it for a little bit, talk about some of the conventions that they're doing. He's out in Washington State. And if you're ready, buddy, we'll go ahead and bring him on.
All right, I'm ready.
Wayne, how's it going, buddy?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing well. I want to first off tell you that I'm very, very appreciative that you were taking the time to come on with us. It means a lot, buddy.
No, my appreciation's for me, man. We're just getting started, and every little bit helps. So thanks for for asking. And
Yeah, man.
I
Awesome.
apologize, George isn't here. It's just a business thing came up at the last minute, and we couldn't reschedule it. So, and I didn't want to reschedule you. So
I understand, and we talked. Maybe we'll get the two of you back on here in a little bit because you've been doing this kind of research for how long? Since you
uh,
were
I had my first encounter in 1973. I was 10. George, 1974. He was 13, and it's just been ever since. And
so something tells me we're not going to be able to get everything in an hour anyway. So
no,
be happy to get you guys back.
yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about? We got a lot to get to, a lot that we want to get to, but I want to give you a chance to talk about No Myth.
Well, actually, I never even thought about going down this road. But you mentioned the Hulu Sasquatch project, and because of the response that George and I got from that, the studio basically said, "Hey, you guys are the next Odd Couple. You're the next Fred and Ethel Mertz. You add Bigfoot to it, and it's gold. And I'm like, I'm not showman. If I can't do the science, if I can't do the reality, then I'm not going to do it." And they said, "Well, figure out a way because people want to see you." So we're figuring out a way, and that's kind of where we're at. The idea of the No Myth was because you have an experience, I have an experience, Daryl has an experience, guy down the street has an experience, and we're all rational human beings. We can decipher what's real and what's not. So whether it's a Sasquatch, Dogman, UFO, ghosts or spirits or whatever, you're there, you see it. It's your reality. It's no myth to you because you experienced it and you know what you experienced. You know what you've been taught as a child. You know what you've experienced as an adult. It is what it is. It's no myth. So we're going to build off of that. Again, like I said, if we can't do the science side of it, it's no use because I'm not going to be a showman. I'm not going to be one of these fake guys, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not gonna go out there and oh, look at this, oh, look at that, and we're 5 feet from a highway and we're acting like it's in the middle of the forest and we found something squatchy.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If we can't get the reality, if we can't get the science, there's no reason to be here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of us that are serious about this subject would agree with you too. In that aspect. Now, you brought up the documentary Sasquatch. How did you guys get involved with that?
Well, you mentioned Facebook, and that's all it took. The director, Joshua Rofe, posted in, I believe it was Bigfoot Believers Only, and he asked the question, what would happen to society when it's proven, not if, but when it's proven that these are actual beings? And I launched into like a 4-paragraph essay, talking about, the spotted owl in the forests and what it would do to recreation and religion and just on and on and on. And the next day, I got a private message from this guy. He goes, "Hey, I saw your post. It was very intriguing. Can we talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What's up?" And he goes, "No, can I call you?" And I went, "What?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you, Well, anyway, he called and we talked. Hour and a half later, "You want to come down to LA and do an interview?" I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." So then he verified who he was and he showed me all the different projects he's been involved with, the Lorena Bobbitt and some other things. And I checked him out on IMDb and I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's legit." So I said something to George and he goes, "Oh my God, what are you getting me involved in?" And so we go down there and all expenses paid, put us up at the hotel for like 4 days and Universal Studios and the whole 9 yards. And they just wanted to know, what we thought, how we did things, our experiences in the whole 9 yards. We were there for over 4 hours, and because of COVID and everything else, everything got so cut down. That project was supposed to be 12 hours, six episodes, 2 hours an episode. And because of COVID, and it just whittled and whittled and whittled, and it's a shadow of what it was supposed to have been. And our participation, and Bob Gimlin's, and Boba Fett, I mean, everybody's was just slimmed down, way, way down. They were with Bob Gimlin all day, like a 10-hour day. And they used him like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that wound up on the floor was 95% of my experience gone. Same thing with George, gone out the window. And all you saw was a 3-minute little clip of Fred and Ethel Mertz going at it.
Yeah.
And boom, ET Online, Variety, all kinds of people were doing these little posts about, oh my God, these guys are reality TV gold. Give them a check now, and yada, yada, yada. And so the studio called us and said, hey, you need to stay out there. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'm like, well, we do it every day anyway. All we do is sit and listen to podcasts and research and go hiking and go camping and looking for this and looking for that. It's like, what else we got to do? Sure, let's do it. But we're not going to be those guys.
Now, you said the network got in touch with you. Can you talk about what network?
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay. Now, do you have something?
Rofe's production company. What's that? I'm sorry.
Do you have something else in the works with them as far as television?
Not yet. I've been told by the director Rofe and our producer Elizabeth Hughes that once COVID is done and they start writing contracts again, and with the amount of content that cable TV sucks up, he says someone's going to come knocking on the door. He says, so just make yourselves out there so that you stay, visible. And I says, that's fine, but we're not going to be, your dog and pony shows. You start with the fake stuff, and I'm out because I'm not going to be that, dance monkey dance.
Well, I'll tell you what, when they do come knocking, you make sure you tell them about these little hillbilly guys down in South called Mannimal Research, and bring us along with you, buddy. We'll come along.
I've been talking all about stuff like that with people that we've run into along the lines, we were in Medellin Falls 2 weeks ago, which was our first festival, and we were literally camped right next to Bob Gimlin and Russell Accord, and then on the other side of us is Ken Gerhardt, and then Tom Cantrell, and I mean just all these heavy hitters, and it's like, holy God, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think Cliff Brackman, I've heard him say it a couple of times, that the subject of Bigfoot is probably the only area where your idols can actually become your friends. And that seems to be pretty
like that.
Yeah. Who have you gotten to talk to that you don't think you would have ever gotten an opportunity to if it hadn't been for the show?
Tom Cantrell, Bob Gimlin.
That's a big one right there.
Oh yeah, and with Bob's health and Bob's age, and we were camped right next to him. Russell was running around doing Russell things, and so we would sit with Bob, and we got very friendly with Bob and Tom Cantrell, who is a fabulous in the science and experience. And I mean, I've learned so much from that man in just the last month. It's amazing. I mean, real science, like how to take a footprint and calculate height, weight, and everything else, and what the bell curve is, and just all kinds of things. And we'll get into my experience. And I told him my experience, and I was like, Tom, am I crazy, or did this happen? He goes, don't you understand what you were involved in? I'm like, no, that's what I'm asking you. He goes, well, yeah, it was this, and this. And I'm sitting there listening to this man just like he's just rattling it off like it's nothing. And my chin was just like, huh? So it was amazing.
That's a good segue. Wayne, why don't you go ahead and go into that experience?
from 10 until 35 was a lot of eye shines. I had a Dogman experience. But after 9/11, I was an automotive engineer at Ford Motor Company, and my kids had all grown up and were out and gone. And I had nowhere to get a job. I mean, with 9/11, factories are drying up, engineering was drying up, Ford was pulling in all kinds of work. So the wife and I at the time decided we're going to go to the West Coast because we loved it up here. I had a job at Boeing in the late 90s and fell in love with the place. So we came out and we started looking around, and we met some people that owned a campground down by Mount St. Helens and just fell in love with them, fell in love with the area. And they said, you know, we need something that's a little more higher end up for camping, you know, because people don't like the rustic thing sometimes. So I built this big plan, business plan, and then I started scoping out the property. And this is where it comes in. Right a quarter mile off of his property, I'm marching down this trail. It leads down into the mud flow because upriver, west of, or sorry, east. I get flipped around. East of Toutle, Washington, the U.S. Corps of Engineers built the sediment dam, and so that's backed up just massive amounts of tonnage. And in that area, you've got these huge mud flats, and the river is split into all these ribbons. Well, I'd never been down there, and I'm marching down this little trail out of the campgrounds, and I didn't expect anything being this close. I mean, the guy says, "Oh, you might have our cougars nearby," but he's like 30 years old. He just keeps the young ones away, and be careful of the Roosevelt elk because the herds are nearby, and yada yada yada. I'm like, okay, so I'm marching down there, and the little road or valley that I'm in, it's just like a tunnel. It's like a railroad tunnel because the ground comes up like a V, and then you have the old alder trees which grow like weeds here, and it made this, for lack of a better term, a railroad tunnel, just pitch black. And I get down in there, and I get to a corner, and I'm noticing there's light to my left, and the corner wound up. I'm noticing I'm standing on what used to be the old Spirit Lake Highway, because it's now just completely rubble, right? Because you're 20 years down the road. And so as I'm looking to my left up to the new light source that I see, and as I'm turning to my left, behind me, I'm hearing rustling in the bushes, and then all of a sudden it was like a freight train just, and of course I jumped and I spun around to my left, and I kid you not, 30, 40 feet in front of me, okay, you got the forest road is, like a crown, and then it dives down into a gully or standing water, amongst the alder trees. And then I don't know how far back it was, but then it shot back up the hill. So then you get no light coming through. I mean, it's just pitch black. Well, two of these trees that are 6 to 8 inches in diameter, 50, 60 feet tall, and they're alder trees. Two of them are 3 to 4 feet apart. Something's got a hold of these trees and shaking them like this, like the cheerleaders' pom-poms. And you're just like, woo, 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 woo. And my chin just dropped. And of course, I like instantaneously, when I started to turn, I started getting that dread, like, you don't belong here. Get your happy little blankety blank back, And so these trees are going, and I start doing the sideways crab crawl as fast as I can because I got to see what's there. I know a cougar can't do that to trees. I know if it was an elk doing the rut, I would see the antlers or the head, and I don't see none of it. All I see is the hands or an arm, whatever it is, going up and down the trees as it's doing its thing. So I start running sideways, watching, and I keep an eye on it, and the trees stop, and then I start hearing the slop, 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 slop in the wood, in that groundwater as I'm moving. Well, it stopped, but I don't. I keep going. So I go about another 50 feet, 100 feet or more, and I go, okay, did it stop? what is it? Did it leave? And I stopped, and I'm looking back to on an angle to, back where I came from. And no sooner did I stop than wham, right directly parallel with where I am, another tree starts shaking. Just boom, boom, boom. But again, it was parallel with me rather than back over here where I heard the water stop.
Mm-hmm.
Between the time I first had with the two trees until I got back to the forest road, the metal gates that, a lot of people put up nowadays, until I got back to that, which was basically, there's a bridge over the Pullen Creek. And that's basically where the tunnel started, into the daylight. That happened to me 3 separate times until I got out there. And once I started, get over the Pullen Creek and back into the campground area, I started feeling like I'm not getting that dread. I'm not getting that, I need to move. I need to run. So I keep going, and I get back to the cabin, to the owners, and I told him what's happened, and I goes, "What's going on out here?" And he goes, "Oh, well, glad to see you made it back." I'm like, "What? What's going on? You were in the woods." "What do you mean I was in the woods?" And he goes, "What do you mean? You were in the woods?" I'm like, "Come on. You've been up here your whole life. You were here when Harry Truman was on that mountain and refused to come down. You live next door. You know what's up here. What's going on?" He's like, "Dude, I got a business. My wife is in corporate. I'm in politics. I own a business. You were in the woods." I'm like, "Oh, give me a break." That's all I got.
This was the owner of the property that just kept saying you were in the woods.
Yep. He's there to this day. 2 years ago, I took my youngest boys down there, who are now 14 and 16. We went to the exact same spot. The exact same spot has been clear cut. But it's not like you clear cut 40 acres. They clear cutted a postage stamp, not squared anything. And I'm like, this makes no sense at all. And I asked him about it, the owner. He goes, "Yeah, they cut that a couple years ago." I'm like, "That's your property." He goes, "Yeah, I know." "So you didn't say anything?" I'm like, "Come on." So anyway, that was later, but we're down there and I'm telling the kids, and the kids like freaking out, and they're going, "Why is this? Why is that?" So I'm giving them all the stories. And so I says, "Come on, let's go back down. Let's go down, finish the trail and get onto the mud flow." So we go down, and there's a turn to the right, and it drops down, and the ridge starts to climb, where that hill was in the back. The ridge goes up to meet that as you go down. Now that you've gone around the corner and you've gone down in towards the mud flow. And we got down to the end where it butts up to one of those ribbon rivers. And we're standing there and just looking around and looking at all the dead trees that are underwater, still standing straight up. And my oldest has got his earbuds in, so he's not really listening, paying attention. And my he was 13 then, he's 14-year-old standing next to me. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're talking about something. And all I hear is this, and it's a female voice. It was like, "Hey, give me a minute." Total gibberish and very high pitched, like a female. And I turned to look at my son, and he turned to look at me, and he goes, "Can we go now?" I'm like, "Are you telling me you heard that?" He goes, "Can we go now, Dad, please?" And I turned to the older one, and I says, "Jacob, did you hear that?" He goes, "Look," he's looking at his feet. "Hear what?" "I don't hear nothing." "Can we go now?" Which tells me he heard it, but he won't mention it. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we get back, and, of course, I mentioned it to him. And I'm like, "Is the wife home?" He goes, "No, she's at work, and, COVID and blah, blah, blah." So we were the only people in the campground, and the owner, the guy, was the only one home. There was no females around. And where we are in that spot, there's nobody for miles in 360-degree area. Nobody. So I told him what happened. He goes, "You were in the woods." And I'm like, "You know what, Mark? KMA." And he just laughed, and that was the end of it.
So Wayne, can you describe in detail what you saw? if anything?
The shadow. Okay. When you're out in the woods, and this was broad daylight, it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you could make out the bulk outline of. There was no real neck. It was almost like 45-degree angle with a rounded top. I could see it was either.
Oop.
You could either see the hands on the tree trunk or it's an arm. I don't know what. But the alder trees are very pale. And in that darkness, in that shade, it's like twilight back there. So all you could see was like gray on black with, the tan trees. So all I could make out was the lump. And then I could see splashing as it was moving, paralleling. Now, when it first started, the bushes behind it and to the left of it were thrashing around, and I couldn't see anything in there. But there was obviously something else there besides what was shaking those trees. And like I said, all I could make out was the outline of basically the upper portion of the torso or the head, and whatever it was wrapped around the trees. Whether it was the hand or the forearm or what, I don't know. But that was it.
I ask the same question every time I'm on to all the researchers, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you think they're real, live, interdimensional? Do you think they're aliens? Do you think they're UFO factors? Do you think anything like that is involved?
I think they're physical beings. I think aliens do play a part, but not the way you might think. I think if you look at the DNA of human beings and the DNA of these creatures, aliens had a part of it. We come from a hybrid, and they come from a hybrid of us.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now I just can't get over this. The property owner saying you were in the woods. I mean, is that code for something? That's all you could get from him?
That's code for I'm not going to tell you the truth, because if I do, my career, my business are over.
Wow. That's amazing. So that was your second visual? Okay, you said you had 2 sightings, is that correct?
Yeah, yes. The first one I was actually a Dogman. But that was August of 1979. I was a junior in high school, and that happened in Manistee County, Michigan, which, if you look at the map, is basically right there. Yeah. My parents had a cottage up there. Actually, it was my grandfather's, and my mother and dad took it over in older later years. But my mother was severely handicapped, and from a car accident that killed my father. And then,
my goodness.
Yeah, drunk driver, New Year's Eve, killed my father, and then she wound up marrying my father's best friend, who was the best man at the wedding. He became my dad. So anyway, they had the cottage, and my mother was severely handicapped from the car accident, and she would sit on the back porch, and she would feed the wild turkeys like they're pigeons in the park. So she would have these huge pans laying in the yard, and then she'd, spread them out like, chickens and pigeons and whatever. So many would gather there and just stay, and they got to be huge. And I'm talking, a turkey that's 2 feet around on the body and the feathers are 4 feet high. I mean, these are big birds. Now, my bedroom was that end of the cabin, or trailer cabin, whatever you want to call it, manufactured, that they put foundations on under. And so anyway, I'm in bed, and all wakes me up is a dog snarling and turkeys, going crazy, right? And I just roll out of bed, all scroggy, whatever, and I just bang it on the windows to scare off whatever dogs or whatever it is. And I kind of stand up and I turn around and go to bed, lay back down, and it's still going. And now I'm like, oh God, I rip open the blinds and I go to bang on the glass, and I see what I thought is a wolf. And as soon as I bang on the glass, it snaps its head around and stands up with a turkey in its mouth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And where we're at, like I said, I'm the north end of the cabin, and I'm on the east side of the structure. So it was a full moon that night. And if you've ever been into Michigan, they have what's known as jack pines, which are very thin. And the branches don't start till they're like 8-9 feet off the ground. So you get a lot of moonlight, or even daylight will come through, and you can see, your whole yard. So I got this perfect black cutout of this thing, and ears, snout, tail, the whole 9 yards, and the yellow pointy eyes. And it was just, yeah. Anyway, damn it. Goosebumps. Ooh, yeah. The eyes on that thing is what scared me the most. And of course, I just panic and scream for my dad. And of course, he, they're at the opposite end of the trailer, which is like, 60 feet away. And I had to scream 2 or 3 times. And finally, my mother wakes up and she's like, Dad, banging on him. And he kind of gets up, and I told him what's going on. And he's like, oh, dear God, go back to bed. And I'm like, no, and I told him what's going on. And he goes, it's just a wolf. And he's probably standing up against the propane tank, the pig, whatever you call him. And I goes, no, Dad, the propane tank is 30 feet away. This thing is standing up. And so he grabs his gun. He goes out on the porch, but it's the other side of the trailer, because you got the small back porch, which is just a little 4x4 square. And then we had the huge patio with the canopy over on the other side. So he just goes out and bam, bam, blows off a couple into the trees, and he goes back to bed. And he goes, there, I go to sleep. It's gone. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm looking at it. And as soon as I say that, and I look out, and it's got 2 by the throat, one on either side. These big, it was the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. These like balls banging, and it just takes off like in a northeasterly direction on 2 legs, and it's just giving me this like stink eye, like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it? And of course, my dad's like, just go to bed, shut up. I'm done playing with this crap stuff. And I didn't go to sleep for a while. I laid there for a good long time. And finally, when I did, and I got up the next morning, but I woke up to him in the backyard with the shovel and the rake cleaning up the carcasses. And I opened the window, and it was a mess. So I go outside, and of course, I ran outside. And of course, he's like, go put some shoes on. It's all this blood. You're out here in your bare feet, whatever. So we clean everything all up. We reset the turkey pans, rake out the yard, and they never acted like anything ever happened. And that was the last time I was ever at the cabin for over 10 years. And when I did go back, I went armed. And yeah, but by then, because I at that time I had never heard of the Dogman ever, and the eyes were so different, because with Bigfoot you got the round red glaring, and with the Dogman you can get the yellow white with the points, and it was just completely different thing. But
yeah, another Bigfoot encounter from Michigan. And Michigan is Bigfoot. I mean, I'm a Dogman encounter. I'm sorry.
Well,
another Dogman encounter from Michigan. I mean, Michigan seems to be the capital of it.
This northwestern quarter, there's quite a bit of it. But I've had Sasquatch eye shines and shadows and things up there as well. I mean, I had my cousin had a like a mom and pop grocery store with the the meat counter and everything, and guys that would kill a deer would come to him and he'd butcher them for him or whatever. And the guy that killed one on a Friday night coming home from the bar with his Cadillac, he'd drive over there and say, "Hey, Larry, pull it out of my grill," and they'd cut it all up and away you go. Well, Larry used to like to take the metal box frames from your mattress and throw them in the Manistee River, and fly fishermen would get hooked on those mattresses. So every couple of Saturday nights, he'd go out there with his son, and if I was up there, I went with them a couple of times, and we'd wade out with their hip waders, and they're pulling, flies out of the box springs. I was like, "Oh man, you're a sneaky little bugger," But yeah, we had one. I didn't see it, but my cousin and his son did. And it was like, "Let's go." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "We don't know. I don't, it's something big and it's red eyes." And I went, "Oh, red eyes. I know this. Let's go." So,
okay.
I didn't see that.
What do you think? What do you think the Dogman is?
I don't know. I have heard so much and read so much. I don't have a good answer for that. And I just don't. I really, really don't. I don't know if it's just an overdeveloped wolf, but I've never seen one that had reflective eyes. So not like that.
For the longest time, I didn't know what to make of this whole Dogman phenomenon. To me, Bigfoot's enough. Giant ape, 10 foot tall, 1,200 pounds running around in the woods. That's enough to worry about. And then people start talking about this Dogman thing, and I started thinking Dogman could be like a misidentified Bigfoot. People talk about the different species, different types of Bigfoot, like 4 different categories or something. I mean, How anybody knows that, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about a creature that hasn't even been confirmed, and now we're talking about different species of them. I don't know how that's possible. But
if you look at the reported sightings, like East Texas versus here, completely different animal. You look at the evidence in the reports and what they say that the facial looks like, or how heavy they are, how gaunt they are, or whatever. Completely different animal. Not to mention the temperament. Here in the Northwest, they tend to be a little bit more curious. To where like East Texas, they're
more aggressive.
They'll rip your throat out.
Yeah. And I always, if there were different categories, like an A, B, or C, or D type, that's what I was thinking a Dogman could be, a different type.
I thought of that as well, but the facial structure is so completely different. I mean, I can't see them being from the same genome, if with that much difference in the skeletal structure.
Now, did you notice the legs of the Dogman? Because I've heard some people talk about the legs bent backwards, kind of like a dog's, and then others talked about they were like human legs.
Yeah, those are the people that tend to go along the lines of werewolf and all that stuff. But no, the one I saw, it was literally like an oversized 250-pound wolf that just stood up on its hind legs and walked away. I mean, the crooked legs and everything. So.
Okay.
Now, see, we've had, I don't know, and you are in the West Coast. We had Deb Rundin in here. She's the one of the directors of the Northern California Dogman Project out that way. She runs Washington State, Oregon, California, Nevada, Wyoming. She's got the whole Western states out there. She's actually, I think she's the president, if I talked to her correctly and heard that right. And she described Dogman as an upright canine that looked just like a dog walking on his feet, very muscular, strong, big yellow, bright eyes. They're elongated instead of round, big pointy ears, and I report my sightings directly to her when a person has a Bigfoot sighting. So I'm sorry, a Dogman. I'm getting confused here too. A Dogman sighting, I report directly to her when I get one of those, and she takes over from there. So, but it's the Northern California Dogman. It's NCDPA, I think. So something like, but it's worth a look at if you guys get a chance to look at it.
Yeah, I've actually been reading about it lately because I did an interview with Cryptid Creatures about a month ago, and that it was on that topic, and so all that came up, and I dug back into it again. It's been 40 years now,
Right.
But anyway, no, mine was definitely an upright canine.
So I have a question over here. I can't get fast enough to Wayne over here to pull up, but Chelsea Stewart wrote, how tall was thank you, Wayne. How tall was the Dogman?
Based on the jack pine branches that I was telling you about, from snout to ground, I would put it in the neighborhood of 7 to 7.5 feet.
I think that tends to be the norm, right? When it comes to Dogman, around the 7-foot mark.
I have no idea. I've looked at very few sightings. I mean, everything, out of all my experiences, everything has been, Sasquatch. But that one Dogman, it'll stick with you. But I haven't gone down that road.
That's kind of strange because I've always been a Bigfoot researcher. I've been doing it for 28 years. I've always been a Bigfoot researcher. But then one time, somebody told me about Dogman, and I got wrapped up in Dogman a little bit. I don't do Dogman as much as I do Bigfoot. And then I got wrapped up. Then I got wrapped up with Ruben Urardi in the UFO conspiracy stuff between UFOs and Bigfoot. And I really got wrapped up into that, the connection between the UFOs and Bigfoot and Dogman and all that stuff. But some of the stories that you can read about Dogman and Bigfoot and the aliens conspiracy part, where you see a Bigfoot or you see a UFO and then you see a Bigfoot, or you see a UFO and you see a Dogman. I've read a whole bunch of stories. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of stories of that directly from credible people that I know personally, friends personally that I know. And some of those stories are hard to look at and go, I don't believe this, because these people are writing these with passion.
Oh, yeah.
And when you read the story, just like you just a few minutes ago, when you started your Dogman story, what did you do? You had cold chills? I'm sure you had hair, yeah. Well,
whenever I think about that night, because it was it's only been one. I mean, I've gotten so used to Sasquatch.
Right.
It does. I can talk about that all day and all night. It doesn't bother me. But that Dogman, oh Lord.
Now, like with the other Wayne up there, he's had his experiences, and those are things that he'll forget he will never forget. He'll remember those nights forever. I mean, the cackling witch, things like that. I mean, the paranormal part of this. Okay, now, a month ago, I got beat up by something in the dark. That's something I'm never going to forget. I've never been beat up by a spirit. And I got beat up. But a Bigfoot to me is you should see my truck. I mean, it's a Bigfoot mobile. But I mean, I live and breathe Bigfoot 24 hours a day. When somebody mentioned to me a couple days ago about the rake, and I kind of crossed my arms, I'm kind of sitting there with my arms crossed. I listened to the person's story, and then I went back again and I read some stories about the rake. And they're interesting how people are describing this creature, and at the same time going way back in time, and the 1960s and 70s stories of the rake are identical to the rake they're seeing yesterday. And then Bigfoot is the same way. People are describing Bigfoot from Leif Erikson all the way up through time to the Gimlin Patterson film and Patty, to my own, to yours. My creature was 7 feet tall, was beige, 400 plus pounds, and I peed my pants when I saw it. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I was scared. I was in the military. I peed my pants. So I've seen one up close and personal. But the story. Now, my next question for you, sir, before I know we're running close to getting out of time. Now, Bigfoot, and some people have described it, and I'm a victim of it also, and I've talked about this before on the show. Telepathy, and what is it called? Mind speaking. Mm-hmm. When you said when you witnessed your Bigfoot, you had that feeling. I know that feeling quite well.
Yeah. Like I said, it was just that feeling of dread, like, boom, you don't belong here. You need to get your fat little thing back where it came from. You do not belong here, or you're going to get hurt. Yeah. And it wasn't so much words, it was feeling.
It was feeling, yes.
It was just so fast and so.
I never got words, but I got
that emotion.
Yeah, it looked at me like he was going to tear my arms off and eat me for lunch.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, I mentioned this incident to Tom Cantrell when I was in Medellin Falls because I thought I was going nuts. What was I actually experiencing? Because I couldn't see the face. I wanted to know what am I witnessing? And he goes, and this gets into the family structure. Mom and dad are out hunting all day. They're doing this, they're doing that. So where I walked into, it was basically a hidden nursery. There was a nest nearby, and the ones that were in the bushes were the younglings. The ones that were shaking the trees and marching me out were the teenage males. Wow. They are left in charge of the children during the day when mom and dad or one or whoever runs the tribe is out, hunting an elk or God knows what. But yeah, that's what I was informed. And he's basing that off of his experience with the Native American tribes up in British Columbia, where he ran several expeditions for 5 or 6 years up there.
And so that was Tom Cantrell's opinion of what you experienced?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
and I had a question for you, but you kind of already answered it. I was gonna ask the different feelings that you had, because you're one of the rare few that has witnessed both a Dogman and a Sasquatch, and I wanted to know if you could tell the difference in just your feelings, the feeling that you got from both of them. Granted, in one incident you were 10, and the other one you were a grown man.
Yeah. Now, the Dogman, I was 16. I was a junior in high school.
16, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. But, at that age, you have no wherewithal. But I got nothing off of that thing. Nothing. The most I can remember is just the look on its face, like when you're having a conversation and you give somebody the side eye. It's like, yeah, go ahead, pal. That's all I got, was like I was getting the stink eye. But I got nothing, emotions, no dread, no nothing. And because I was in the cabin with the windows closed and my parents had the air conditioners on, I didn't even smell anything. So,
but if you have those feelings of Bigfoot, when you were around, in that area with the Bigfoot around, and you had those feelings, what do you think produces those feelings?
They do.
If you didn't see anything, then how do you know it wasn't speaking to you telepathically?
And that's just it. I don't know, because the way it came across, it was like my emotions, my gut feeling, something's wrong. You don't need to be here. You're about to get hurt. You better move. So it was like, am I getting this from my own gut, or am I getting this from that? Because I couldn't tell the difference.
I've wondered that so many times.
Yeah, it came on so quickly and disappeared so quickly that I tend to believe it was from them.
Yeah, that's a question that I've always had. And Miss Annette here says 6 cents.
Yes, yeah.
That's probably the best way to put it right there.
That's what I said. That's what I said, Annette. Yeah, your gut feeling.
Yeah, and I've heard people talk about telepathy, mind speak and stuff, and I don't know what to make of that. I'm not real big in woo.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about being zapped and all that stuff, and it's like,
Yeah, I mean, people have experienced it, and you can't knock it. I mean, if somebody has experienced it, I'm not the person that's going to call them a liar.
Well, like
I'm
I said,
I'm
it's
not.
no myth. Your experience is your reality. It's no myth.
Yeah, but I've always thought, well, how do you know that it was mind speak? Did you hear a separate voice other than your own in your
Exactly.
head telling you these things, or was it your voice thinking your feelings?
Yes.
Now,
How do you know?
that's how I was. I was thinking I better get out of here. I didn't hear a voice saying, Daryl, you're going to get eaten
And
today.
it sounds like that's what Wayne experienced too.
Well, like I said, I thought it was me telling me, but
Yeah.
Yes.
the way with the severity and how quick that it started and stopped, I'm
Right.
going. You don't change your emotions that quickly.
I
I should be scared to death because
Yeah.
of what I just witnessed, and yet I'm like walking back to the cabin like it's no big deal.
I turned my back to it to stop it. I turned my back to it. And believe it or not, I even said a prayer while I had my back turned because I really thought I was going to die. So,
Yeah.
and,
Well,
then
and that's why I was staring, looking at it, because I thought if something's about to eat me, I want to know what's going to eat me.
right.
I'm not going to go out of here just like bink and not know anything about what happened. I want to know.
Right.
Yeah. Wayne, kill or no kill?
No.
I agree.
Yay.
I agree. What do you think that these things can be proven 100% accepted by mainstream science without a body?
It already has been. They just don't admit it.
Yeah. I mean, what's it going to take for them to admit? Do you think they'll ever admit it without a body?
Nope.
Now, the work that David Paulides started with 3 universities, 13 labs, 11 PhD scientists, and what they proved, these are our cousins based on maternal mitochondrial DNA. These are human beings.
You're talking about the Melba Ketchum study?
I'm talking about the Bigfoot DNA project. All Melba Ketchums did was fill out a piece of paperwork, an application. She didn't do any science. All she did was collaborate and coordinate and put it all together. From University of South Carolina, 13 labs, 11 PhDs, and since she's been attacked, more PhDs have jumped on the bandwagon in her support. And that is why that program stands to this day, and it always will. Homo sapiens cognitus. That's what they are, and that's what they'll always be.
So yeah, their finding was the mitochondrial DNA, which comes from the mother, was
Maternal DNA, yes.
Was human, was Homo sapien, right?
Yes.
And the father, the DNA from the father side was unknown primate.
I can't remember, to be honest with you. It's one of the offshoots, but I tend to believe, like I mentioned earlier, that mating or that crossing, that mixture had some help. And that's where you're seeing a lot of the alien involvement. I think they come down here and check on their projects. And that's whether it's Sasquatch, whether it's human beings or what.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I see
Actually,
Kurt here.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but if you had a conversation with Melba, she will even mention that there is 2% of our DNA that cannot be mapped, and she believes, and I'm not going to say that. She insinuates that could be alien DNA. Because
have you talked to Melba? Have you ever talked to her?
Many times.
Okay. Wow. I haven't had the opportunity to. I'd love to get her on, but I know that she won't do it.
No.
She won't come on anywhere.
She won't go in. No, because she had a very good career. Then she was hired on.
She was an expert witness.
Yes, and
in courts. They don't just let anybody do that.
No, they hired her on to do this project. She did it the best of her ability. She knocked it out of the park, and now her career is all but ruined because all she did was what she was paid to do, her job. Here's your DNA from all these other labs. Do the paperwork, shuffle it together, verify it, send it in. And that's all she did.
There's a lot of times that, trying to say this the right way, there's a lot of times that the researchers that collect DNA, they also get attacked.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a victim of that.
Mhm.
I'm a victim of that. And I've sent in stuff, and I've had to knock on the door where you got to keep your mouth shut or else, you know, and I have that. I mean, I've had my evidence tested, and I got in a lot of trouble. So,
well, the minute you put that S word or the BF word on there, all of a sudden it becomes a joke. And
right.
if you look at that project, the 3 universities that were involved, one of them, the minute they saw the word Sasquatch, they refused to test it. The other one, inconclusive. The third one, USC, boom, nailed it.
Yeah.
Or while they do it, they lose your evidence.
Um.
I'm sorry, Wayne. Wayne,
Yeah, all this is fascinating. We could do a whole show on this topic here, but I do want to clear something up real quick. Mr. Kirk Seltzer, our good friend of the show, when I asked you about kill or no kill, he threw out the question here, but would you kill it if it attacked you? I mean, obviously, if it comes down to hurting you or a loved one, yes, I will fill it full of holes and not think twice about it. When I say I'm no kill, or my group is going to be no kill, what I mean by that is we are never going to map out an expedition with the intent to go out and bring a body in. Exactly. That's what I mean by no kill. If I'm in the woods with my family and one comes after me, I'm taking its head off if I can.
That's like if you came at me, who's going
exactly
down? You or me, you know?
Yeah.
Hello, boom.
That's a natural instinct, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not going out to hunt one. That's all I mean.
No. To me, well, in Washington State, it's illegal. You can't kill them here.
Yeah, Sasquatch County or something. Oh, Skamania or something.
Skamania County. That's the east side of Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier.
Right.
Now, why do you think that is, Wayne? Do you think that they did that? Because I've heard a couple different sides to that. I want to think, because I'm a believer, I want to think that they did that because they know that they're there and they want to protect them. But the realist in me kind of thinks they did that to protect some nut running around in the woods in an ape suit.
They don't want everybody and their brother running around looking for the trophy kill to make that $10 million prize.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, while you're out there running around half bombed, shooting anything that moves, maybe it's a camper. Now, because you're out there trying to kill Bigfoot and prove that he exists, you just killed, Becky Ann from down the block.
One of those things, what I heard was that I think it was Mount St. Helens, when it erupted, they actually found a dead family of Bigfoots, and the military came in and picked them up and took them away. And then they started that no-kill thing there.
Have
you heard that story?
The encounter reads that the male was still alive, and that they had a native people's linguist with them that was able to have a very broken conversation, and they wound up using the male to go and find its family. Okay. And it found the spouse and I believe 2 or 3 children.
I heard 3 kids.
Yeah. And I believe the spouse was still alive, and they were once they got him in helicopters or whatever, and then they were able to convince the male to check other caves to see if there were others in the area. And I don't remember if it did or not.
That's the story I heard. And they brought in the military and took the dead ones to Area 51. And that's
Lewis McCord first, and after that, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, I heard something. That's got to be the same story I heard. Something very similar about there was a a soldier in might have been the army. I'm not sure, that they were in this tent getting a briefing, and
The
some
same,
doctor or something walked in with a Sasquatch.
yep, the same one.
Yeah.
Same
You
encounter.
think there's merit to that? Do you think that actually happened?
Based on several of the, there are other sightings other than just him that had the helicopters with the large bundles of branches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, so yeah, yes, I do, because it wasn't just one guy making a report. There are several different reports that very similar and kind of like, yeah, I saw this, and it matches so much with the main line of what this gentleman was talking about.
This is the bad part. This is the bad part about history nowadays. Back in the 90s, when I saw my Bigfoot, I took ridicule and harassment from my neighbors. They tormented us horribly. And nowadays, if you want to come forward with something, it's not your neighbors, it's the government. The government comes after you.
Your own family, too.
I mean, it's like, why can't we come forward with what we have? And all of us, I mean, even Wayne, myself, not you, Wayne, I mean, Wayne.
I know what you mean.
But I mean, Wayne and I both have hair. I mean, we're trying to find somebody that'll take, yeah, mine too, yeah. But we're trying to find somebody that'll take our hair without coming after us with legalities. I'm going to tax write you off. I'm going to take your home. I'm going to threaten your life. I'm going to mess up with your kids. You know,
I got attacked in Medline Falls by a gentleman who I will not name because he's popular in the community. But he was like, I have interviewed 2,000 people, and not one has ever told me that the little guy in a black suit came over and threatened my life. That just, it does not happen. And I was like, okay, and I need to know this why.
Well, I will tell you that little guy in the black suit does knock on your door, though.
So why would this person say that to you? Were you saying that happened?
I have no idea. I mean, we were talking about, my sighting, and he's had multiple sightings and written multiple books, and he just out of nowhere makes this comment. And I'm like, I didn't say anything about this online. Why would you mention this to me now? I mean, it was just, I was totally flabbergasted by why. But anyway,
Wayne, would you tell me off air who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've gone way over, guys, and I'm fine with that if y'all are.
Rock on, baby.
I just had one more something that I wanted to talk about. When you guys were talking about the Mount St. Helens erupted and everything. Have you heard about the Army Corps of Engineers, the book that they wrote? I don't remember a lot about it. It was back in the 70s, I think. It was out in the Pacific Northwest, and God, I shouldn't even talk about it if I can't remember all the details. Something like it cost $70,000 or $80,000 to put together back then. In today's money, it'd be like $200-something thousand. But they were listing things in the area of the Pacific Northwest to watch out for, and they actually listed Sasquatch.
Oh, you're talking about the training manuals. Oh, yeah. Those are famous.
By the Army Corps of Engineers, is that what that was?
Well, it's not Army Corps of Engineers. It was JBLM, the Army bases out there, as well as the Forest Service. And in one, it mentions, bears, mountain lions, and it mentions Sasquatch, and shows a great big photo right on the map, along with all the other creatures, in the area. And it even gives a guideline as to, don't approach, don't do this, don't do that. I can't think all the wording of it. I actually have a copy of that in one of my computers here somewhere, because in 2017, George and I were down in Yellowstone Park, and there was a poster on one of the telephone poles in the RV park telling us not to build structures in the woods. And if you had a sighting and then there was another one on the pole right next to it that said, if you had, Sasquatch sightings, report, to the forest ranger. And we actually went to the forest ranger. I was like, "Oh, what's this all about?" And they're going, "Oh, somebody's just playing a joke on you. That we didn't put those up there." And I'm like, "Really? It's got your logo on it, and they've obviously been there for a long time. If it's a joke, why haven't you taken them down?" And then the phone rings, and he goes,
Wow.
"Yeah,
All right, man. We got to have you back, Wayne. It's just we feel like we're just getting started, and we've already gone an hour and 15 minutes, man.
And with George's, I mean, all his early days, he was up in the Adirondacks when he was at camp, and then you hear not even 5 years ago, he had an incident down in Oregon in his tent, the one he talks about on the Hulu Sasquatch, and a couple in between. So yeah, I mean, between his and a lot of stuff that I glossed over, but we've covered my main things. We are in the process of doing all these different festivals. I've got a couple of projects where people have asked us to come out and check out their property up in the Pend Oreille, which is the northeast side of the corner of the state. One area actually has a lot of caves and around the Sullivan Lake area, which actually correlates to the new film that was been put out about Sullivan Creek. It's that same area. And I've got a Border Patrol gentleman who I've made wonderful friends with him and his wife. And he's going to take us out rock climbing, and we're going to go up and check out those caves, see what we can find, because they've actually had sightings in those caves.
Yeah, well, we'll stay in touch if you don't mind, and set up a time for you guys to come back. This has been one of my favorite shows. It really has. It's been entertaining and learned some stuff. I really appreciate you coming on, Wayne. I really do.
That's the whole idea here: is make friends, share your stories, and learn.
You're exactly right, buddy. Thank you again for taking the time, and tell George we missed him, and we hope to see him next time.
Yeah, he's already texted me a couple times on how things are going, but yeah, he's ready. He's ready. We'll set it up and we'll come back together.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Daryl, you want to say your goodbyes, buddy?
Wayne, thank you so much. It's been an education, and hopefully that you and I can communicate here also. I'll try to look up No Myth. You'll probably receive a couple of DMs from me. I'm the Yeti guy. If you don't know who I am, it'll come from me, and it'll be a 916 number, which will be out of Sacramento. So don't panic. Don't freak out. Because even though I live in Tennessee, I still have my California number. I'm not going to change it because everybody knows me out there. But I would love to talk to you a little bit more off camera also, and see. I'd like to talk to you about some stuff about your DNA stuff.
Yeah, I'll text it over to Wayne. He can forward it to you.
That would be good, sir. Very much. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Daryl, it's been great to meet you. Thank you.
Been fun, sir. Thank you.
Have a good night, Wayne.
Good night, guys.
Well,
all right, yeah, man, I'm serious. Tonight's one of my favorite episodes, man. This was a fun show.
Yeah, it's been education for me. I would like to do a little bit more information. I would like to try to find out some more information about the Mount St. Helens thing. I really that's been on my bucket list for a long time. Trying to find out some information on that.
There is a guy, and I'm not going to give his name. He's well known in the Bigfoot community, and he swears that nothing Sasquatch related happened with Mount St. Helens. He claims that he was in the military at that time, and he helped with the cleanup and all that stuff when it erupted. And he swears on his life, on his kids' life, everyone, that nothing Bigfoot happened, that they're all made up stories. And then you hear these kind of stories, and there's just so many of them.
Yeah.
Don't know who to believe. I wasn't there.
I have emails from Washington State. Well, just reported sightings from Washington State. And I have people that have told me a lot of things. I'll forward some of them to you. I even have some military people. I have a lot of stuff that people have sent me that I just tuck away in my little black book. You know my little black book.
I do. I've seen it.
Yeah. So.
All right, man. You want to say your good nights before we get out of here?
Thank you, everybody, for having me back on. Thank you to the guests. Mrs. Alvey, I missed some of your stuff. And Mrs. Guy, hi, thank you. It's great to know you guys. Mr. Seltzer, thank you, sir. I appreciate your questions, and I appreciate everybody on my comment list on my right. I cannot answer your questions. I have to go to Wayne and have Wayne pull them up, but all of you have said something pleasant and nice to me. I appreciate all you guys. You guys make my night. It's 10 o'clock here, and I really appreciate you guys, and your comfort. And sometimes my words get mixed up sometimes. That's part of having a heart attack and quadruple bypass and things like that. So you guys make my night. I go to sleep at night knowing that there's good people still out there that want to learn and understand. I know every time I go out in the forest and I step out of my truck, it starts a new learning for me. So Wayne, I appreciate you, sir. God bless you guys and your family and your new baby. And I appreciate you, sir, having me on. I really do.
Yeah, you just reminded me something. I want to share something, and I hope that she is watching. I got one of the nicest texts out of the blue from a lady down in Florida just a couple nights ago, and I want to share it with everybody. This is from Miss Bobby Selby Younts. She wrote me just out of the blue on Facebook and said, "Your channel is one of my favorites. I'm 63-year-old grandma from Central Florida. You and Jasper do an amazing job. She wanted to know if we have a PayPal account so I can help y'all when I can. Praying God's protection over you and your families. Love in Jesus." And she wrote me back after I thanked her. So that was one of the nicest messages I'd ever gotten. Mm-hmm. She wrote me back and said, "I work nights at the USPS in Orlando, so sometimes I have to just listen while sorting the mail. I'm off Sunday and Monday, so I can watch live feeds. Then both of you young men are an asset to YouTube. Congratulations on your new blessings. I sure do love babies." And she talks about her granddaughter. And that meant a lot to me. I've never spoken to her before, and she sent that out to me, and I really appreciate it, ma'am. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Now, before we go, I got one more thing to say. Over in the columns, I see one of my friends out in Oregon is paying attention. Her name's Lynn Bryant, and thank you, Lynn. I will talk to you soon. We talk every day. We message each other every day. She is a big follower of mine, and she's an extremely good friend. She does some incredible rock paintings. If you guys ever get the chance, I'll show you some of our rock paintings that she does. And I love her to death. She'd be my second wife if I wasn't married now. So, and she knows that. You guys, if you will, do me a big favor. I know you guys are following Mannimal. If you could click into Facebook, if you could follow Daryl Owen, DARYLOWEN. I am the Yeti guy. Send me a friends request. I'll add you to my friends list. I do post on both my own and on Mannimal when I get the inspiration to write something. But I'm always in contact on the Mannimal. I am an admin there. And Mrs. Guy, she told me. She said she told Truth Wayne. So, well, God bless Bobby too. So I will get out of here. I'll shut my big mouth because he's gone on for an hour and a half. Remember, you guys, keep your eyes on the horizon and in the trees. That's the main thing that you got to do when you Sasquatch. God bless y'all.
All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for being here, joining us on another episode. You guys make it all worth it. I mean, doing all this stuff, it really is like a second job, and one where you don't get paid. So you guys make it worth it, and I really, really do appreciate it. Love you guys, and I look forward to hanging out with y'all every chance that I get. Guys, be safe, be good to each other, and yeah, that's the most important thing. Just be good to each other, guys, and we will catch you next time. See ya.